Hey guys, this is John. I wanted to update you on how the Minnesota Grandmaster Norm tournament ended up. The tournament finished a few days ago, and if you'll recall from my previous video, this is the first in a series of Grandmaster Norm eligible events that I'll be playing in over the next few months. And I'll probably add even more events later this fall and possibly into the winter because I want to keep the momentum up. I think when you're pursuing norms, trying to work towards a title in chess, it's important to play many tournaments in a row. Not to the point of exhaustion, but you really need to keep that momentum so that if you're playing well, it can carry over into other events. So here are the final standings for the tournament. 9-round tournament, 10 players. It was a round robin. And you can see that I finished with 4 points out of 9. A bit disappointing of a finish. I think my expectation was, +1 or +2 would have been the score that my rating would predict. So I was hoping for something like +2, +3, or even +4, which would have been the Grandmaster norm. That would have been 6.5 points out of 9. Very tough field. I think pretty much all the players in this field were evenly matched. You can see that the two players who tied for first, Vladimir Georgiev and the local player, Sean Nagel, friend of mine, they tied for first with 5.5 out of 9. So no player was that close to a Grandmaster norm. Sam Schmeichel, FIDE Master, he had a great tournament. He actually had 5 points out of 7. If he would have scored 1.5 out of 2 on the final day, he would have hit that norm. But very bunched up field here, lots of close games. And if we click on my individual page here, you can see the breakdown round by round. So overall, I had a 24.05 FIDE performance, underperformed by 50 points. And I had 1 win, 6 draws, and 2 losses. So 1 win, 6 draws, and 2 losses. Obviously a bummer to only score 1 win out of 9 games, but then again, I didn't lose too many games either, just those 2 losses. And my tournament, as far as Grandmaster Norm chances, was essentially over after I lost to Gauri Shankar in round 4. So I drew my first 3 games. In the previous video, I mentioned that I really wanted to get a strong start in this tournament because I was facing all of the Grandmasters and Andrew Tang also, who's a very tough competitor later in the tournament. So I really wanted to focus hard on these first 5 games and try to get a positive score. And I ended up with just an even score. Drew those first 3 games, then lost a rook end game to Gauri Shankar that I think should have been a draw, but he played it extremely well. I'm still analyzing that one because I think there's a lot of lessons to be gleaned from that. I did bounce back with a win over Sean Nagel in the next game, which I think was a pretty good game on my part. It was back and forth. I held an advantage early on, and then he fought back and probably held an advantage. And in a time scramble, I managed to outplay him. But the very next round, I think I pushed a bit too hard against Atanas Kolev. I played this move shortly after the opening, or in the opening, this move G5 as black in a London that ended up weakening my king position. And objectively, it may not have been a bad move, but it made the game harder for me to play, and I went on to lose. He outplayed me thereafter. And from there, I made 3 draws to end the tournament. Against Andrew Tang, I had a overwhelming position. I think I was like +4.5 at one point on the white side of a Queen's Gambit decline, but I was not able to put him away, much to my chagrin. So I feel like that game probably should have been a win. Definitely should have been a win. And the final 2 games, the game against Georgiev was pretty well played. I was pressing him a bit as white. The game against Mitkov, there was really nothing to play for at that point. I was black. He offered me a draw and moved 16 in a very unclear position. I took it. Tournament over. So finished with 4 points out of 9. Bit of a subpar performance. Now, my takeaways from this tournament are, number 1, I got to play faster. You guys know from my channel, like time management is a constant issue for me. And I was in time pressure in a lot of these games. That's one thing that's not reflected when you play back through the games, but man, time was a big issue for me throughout this event. The time control was game 90 plus 30-second increment, which is fast. I think that's the fastest you can FIDE rate a game, but that's how a lot of my upcoming tournaments are. So I got to get used to playing quicker, and especially playing quicker at the outset of the game, because you think like, oh, 90 minutes, you have all this time, but trust me, and this might seem ridiculous to those of you who play online, but if you have 90 minutes in a competitive tournament game against an equally strong player or even stronger player than yourself, you're probably going to be using a lot of that time, and you should use a lot of that time in order to be competitive in that game, but not to the point where you're getting in time pressure every single game. And that seems to be an issue for me. So I want to make a real point to work on this. I know I say this a lot on my channel, but I think if I'm going to make Grandmaster, I've got to solve the time issue. It's the number one thing that's holding me back. And a lot of that, I believe, has to do with a lack of confidence and rustiness. When you just haven't played a lot of tournament chess of late, you're naturally going to, at least I do, I take more time to make decisions that otherwise, if I were in good chess playing shape, I would make quickly. So I got to trust myself a little bit more and risk being wrong. So I'm going to work on that. Overall, though, the chess quality of the games was quite high. I think a few of these games could have gone in my direction. Like in the first round against Kevin Wang, I was pressing. I had an extra pawn and a rook endgame. I was just not able to get the win. The Schmeichel game was real back and forth. Against John Burke, I had an advantage. Maybe I could have made something out of that. I had the bishop pair. It was never anything truly concrete, but I was pressing. As I already said, against Andrew Tang, I was doing very, very well. So there were some bright spots here. It's just such a delicate thing against tough players. One little mistake or just some incorrect expenditure of your time, spending 5 extra minutes in a position that you shouldn't, that can really come back to bite you. So I feel like I'm close to putting in some good results, but it's going to require special attention to my time management. So that's what I'm going to focus on, and I'm undoubtedly going to update you on that. So lost a few FIDE points. I think I lost like 5 or 6 FIDE points. Nothing major. My next tournament is an event I'm leaving for today. I'm going to the airport in like less than an hour. It is the Southwest Open down in Dallas, Texas. And it starts tomorrow night through September 4th. Here's just the information for the event. I'm playing in the international section. Nice thing about this tournament, so it's 9 rounds. You have to have a minimum FIDE of 2,000 or a minimum USCF of 2,200 to get in. And here is the pre-registration list at the moment. So you can see quite a few GMs playing and several strong IMs as well. So here I am. I'm actually in the bottom half of the field as it stands, although I think that'll probably change because they typically get more entries right towards the end. I expect there'll be some local players in the event too. And these are USCF ratings, by the way, so it's listed in a way that doesn't reflect the FIDE rating so much. It actually has the wrong FIDE rating for me here, not 2338. But anyways, this will be my next event that I'm playing, starting tomorrow. I will be posting my games, and also if you're interested in checking the games from the Minnesota GM Norm Tournament, I posted them on Lichess and also on my Twitter. So here is my Lichess where I've uploaded the games, and I will continue to do that for the Southwest Open as well. And look for a video updating you guys on how the Southwest Open went. I'll probably post that after I get back, or possibly even during the event if I have time, but I would say realistically next week when I'm back home from the event. So Dallas, Texas is where I'm headed, and after that I'll be going to Norway at the end of the month, end of September that is, for a series of 2 events. So thank you guys for all of your support. I was pretty overwhelmed by the amount of comments I got of appreciation and encouragement in the last video that I posted. So thank you guys again. I know I haven't been posting much, but I hope that in making this pursuit of the Grandmaster title, whatever happens, I become a better chess player, better streamer, better coach. I think it's just going to benefit me all around. It's kind of like pursuing higher education in whatever field, like getting your PhD in a field. So I believe I can make it. It is going to require more work, and I'm willing to put that in. So we'll see what happens. Final thing I wanted to say, I am headed to Texas. Those of you who are in the Houston area or are affected by Hurricane Harvey, you're in my thoughts. I know I've got a lot of viewers on this channel, and undoubtedly there are people from Houston in that area who are watching this video. So I just wanted to extend my condolences to what has happened to that city. Houston is about 4 hours south of Texas. And it's just very sad to see on the news what's been going on there. So, all right, guys, I'm off to the airport. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.